In problem number 2, you are comparing the experimental and theoretical probability of spinning a spinner. The spinner has 8 equal sections and it is spun 40 times. The results are recorded in the table. You are to write inequalities into the blanks to compare the two probabilities. The spinner picture represents your theoretical probability, and the table represents your experimental probability. The first one asks for red. The experimental probability pulled from the data in the table is 25 times the spinner landed on red out of 40. This is represented by this fraction here, and it simplifies to 5/8. Comparing it to the theoretical probability, looking at the spinner, there are 1, 2 red sections out of 8 equal sections. So our fraction is represented by 2/8, and that simplifies to 1/4. Now, if you're ever not sure which fraction is bigger, you can divide your numerator by your denominator in your calculator and compare the decimals to see which one is bigger. Or you could look at the 5/8 and 2/8, and we know that 5 is bigger than 2. So in this case, we would put in the greater than sign. Then you do the same with blue. In the experimental table, blue is spun 13 times out of 40. So our fraction is 13 over 40. On the spinner, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 blue sections, and that is represented by the fraction 4/8 because there are 4 blue sections out of 8 total sections. This fraction simplifies to 1/2. And again, if you're not sure which one's bigger, divide your numerator by your denominator in your fraction. When you do that, you get a decimal of 0.325 here. And for theoretical, we get a decimal of 0.5. And 0.5 is bigger, so we put in the less than sign because the experimental data is less than the data for the theoretical probability. And last, for yellow, you do the same thing. The experimental probability of spinning yellow was 2 out of 40 times. That was represented by this fraction here. And 2/40 simplifies to 1 over 20. Your theoretical yellow is represented by the amount of yellow sections in the spinner. And there are 2 sections out of 8 represented here. This simplifies to 1/4. When I divide 1 over 20 in my calculator, I get a decimal of 0.05, and 1/4 is 0.25. So we put the less than sign once again because the experimental data was less than the theoretical data. Now you try.